Okay, I wanted to show you my second video in my series of my grease car setup. When I bought the truck, I invested in a centrifuge so that I could spin my waste grease that I get from the restaurant. And this is my centrifuge all set up. It's actually running right now, and I'll take you through the different components here so that you can see. I used to filter with a filter sock, but it was very, very time consuming, and the oil never got as clean as I wanted it to be. This is oil that I pick up from the restaurant. It's about 5 miles away from me, the restaurant, and her oil is very clean because she actually changes it every week, unlike some other restaurants. Okay, so the nice thing is that she doesn't have a dumpster out behind her restaurant because she lives right next to her restaurant, and she just has her employees put it back in the containers that it was purchased in, and it's easier for me to carry that way anyways, and I don't have to pump anything out. I just go behind the restaurant and pick it up every couple weeks, and I run my truck for free on it. So this is my dirty tank right here. You can see there's a funnel. Okay, I pour it into that 55-gallon drum, and then this right here is the suction tube that is it's in there about probably 3/4 of the way down into the drum. I don't actually put the suction tube right on the bottom because I don't want to suck up any crap or french fries or anything like that that might be in the waste vegetable oil. Okay, this is the main body of the centrifuge right now, and it's running. Okay, this here is an electrical motor, okay, with a pump on it. Okay, and then this is just poly tubing. It's braided poly tubing that you can get at any hardware store, cut to your length. Okay, I attached it. You can see by the arrow it's going into the pump this way, and it's coming up and around through here and into this cylindrical device right here. Now this is an inline heater. Okay, now what you do with an inline heater is that actually makes it easier for the centrifuge to spin it, and it gets more of the contaminants out of the oil. Okay, so there is a coil in here, and this gets hot. Okay, as the grease comes through the bottom, it comes up through the top, through this here, and it heats it up, and then it comes out through into here. And this here hose is a high temperature auto hose that is able to carry the hot oil to the top of the centrifuge without bursting or anything. You would never use one of these braided hoses right here after the oil has been heated up because it's just too hot. It would actually melt this. Okay, so on the top here, I'll turn the light on there. You can see there's a temperature gauge. Okay, I usually run it. I have to like ramp it up a little bit. I started out at 40 degrees, and then I ramp it up to about 70 degrees. Now that's in Celsius, so you'll have to do the conversion yourself. But then I have an inline thermometer. Okay, and it'll fluctuate between, and you want it between 150 to 200 degrees. Okay, now on the dial here, the red is Celsius and the black is Fahrenheit. I go by the Fahrenheit, it's just easier for me. So you want it between 150 and 200, and that ensures that the oil is nice and hot and it's going to spin out freely. Okay, now over here, this is the drop down tube. Okay, and I'm not going to pull it out right now because it is running. It's dropping the hot oil into the center of the top of the centrifuge, where it slowly will make its way down the side of the centrifuge, and then it slowly creeps up onto the side, the vertical side of the centrifuge. Okay, and at that point it is spun at approximately 3,400 RPM, 3,400 RPM. Okay, and what happens is the dirt and any contaminants stick to the side of the wall, but the oil keeps flowing freely up into the top of the centrifuge, and it spins out. Okay, and then it comes out the bottom here. Okay, down through this tube here. This is the clean oil, and This here is just a vent tube, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but there is actually steam that comes out of this vent tube. Okay, there's moist steam because of the hot oil. After it hits inside there, it releases some of the moisture, and then what happens is it flows down into a 5-gallon poly container. And I do it this way just because the poly containers are easy for me to use. It's easier for me to load the truck, and you can see it's just a slow drip. Okay, it's a slow drip. I have it on a slow drip because the longer the oil stays in the centrifuge, the cleaner it gets. Okay, and I want my oil really, really clean going into my truck. Let me show you the other component here. This here is a variable speed pump, okay, that was sold with the kit that I purchased. Now, if you want to know where to get these kits from, there is a fantastic company called PA Biodiesel Supply. The guy is located in Pennsylvania. His customer service is phenomenal. Whatever question you have, this guy will answer. Anything you need to know about centrifuging grease or any questions you have, you can go online and watch his videos. His company's name is PA Biodiesel. He's phenomenal. He really can tell you straightforward what it's going to need and what it's going to take to get you up and running. Now, these systems are not cheap, okay? It's not going to be like you're going to go out and spend $100 and have this system, okay? They're over $1,000, but the time that it will save you from having to sit there and filter all your oil is time that you can be doing something else. Like, I know that this jug down here is going to take me 2 hours, so I set the timer on my phone, I get the temperature all set up, I walk away, 2 hours later I come back, it's full. Okay, my goal is to get a larger container to process into, but for now these things are working phenomenal. This tube over here, around the back here, this is the dirty oil, okay? The oil that is inside of the centrifuge when you shut it down has to go someplace, okay? And you don't, so what I did is I just pipe it right back into the same container where the dirty oil is, and it just, it's only like maybe, I don't know, maybe half a quart or something that actually comes out of the centrifuge. And the way you start this thing up is you always run the centrifuge first. You start it spinning, okay? And then I come down here and I turn on my variable speed pump, okay, which is hooked up to the electric motor, and that starts pumping the grease through there. And then I come over here lastly and I turn the heater off, or I turn the heater on, I'm sorry. And then when you shut this thing down, you kind of go back in the reverse order. You turn off the heat first, and then you come back and you shut the variable speed pump off, and then you come over here to the centrifuge, and there's a little toggle switch right there, and you turn the centrifuge off too. If you're going to ask me about how much electricity it uses, I have not noticed any difference in my electric bill when I use this system. It really is very minimal. The heater, yes, it's a 120 volt 1500 watt heater, but it comes on and off at different points as to keep your oil hot. It's not like it's running all the time 24/7. It's gonna come on, heat it up, and then it's gonna turn itself back off again, okay? So, but the key about this whole thing is if you run the oil slowly through the system, it's gonna be clean. Now, I said that the fuel filter for the grease on my truck is 5 microns, okay? The speed that I'm running this centrifuge at, the speed that they have the pump there pumping the oil into the centrifuge is so low that the oil coming out of this centrifuge is less than 1 micron. So it's cleaner than the filter on my truck is. So I haven't had to change my filter on my truck since I put the system in 3 years ago, because it doesn't make any sense. If you're putting oil into the truck that is less than 1 micron, and your filter for your grease system filters it down to 5 microns, it's cleaning it. It's cleaner going into the system than what the filter is going to filter out. So, and that's the whole point. I wanted really, really clean oil to run the system without any problems.